Peace and blessings, beautiful souls, magnificent beings. I'm 100% for personal accountability, but I'm also 100% for government accountability for its citizens, not to put them in situations that are directly and intentionally detrimental to their livelihood. Allow us to check this out.
I let it go to voicemail. There was no voicemail. Curiosity got the best of me. I called it back. It was William Thompson.
Wow.
After all these years. And he starts confessing. Confessing the CDC is committing fraud. The CDC has lied. And, I was kind of the mercury guy. I was really concerned about thimerosal and vaccines. And he said, no, wait a minute. You need to look at the MMR. You need to look at the measles, mumps, rubella vaccine. And he arranged a way for me to get data from an MMR study that the CDC had published back in 2004. And he entreated me. He said, go ahead and reanalyze this. And so I did. Something popped out very, very quickly within like an hour of sitting down with the data set. And it was about African-American males. And so I call him. I said, tell me about African-American males. His answer to me was, oh, you found it.
Wow.
You found it.
Wow.
And so I said, Bill, what did I find? Come to find out, if the CDC would have been truthful and would have published the information, they would have admitted back in 2004 that African-American males that receive the MMR on time, that's anywhere between 12 and 15 months of age, are 3.8 times more likely to get an autism diagnosis than if they merely wait until.
Now make that make sense. 3.8 times more likely to get an autism diagnosis because of the MMR vaccination, specifically detrimental to the black males, and the CDC knew and understand this. And we're not talking 1950, 40, 30, 20, 60, or back in slavery. We're talking about 2001, 2002. So this is why we must hold our government accountable for the detrimental, intentional deceit and cover up of things that are detrimental to any group in this nation, specifically the African American in this case. And this is why when those who try to brush or paint individuals who bring up the misbehavior within the government as it pertains to black people and automatically assume that it is a victim stance and that they should be ignored. This is why we must always hold the government accountable. As I stated before, we are 100% responsible for those things that you and I control. We have to own that. No one's coming to save us. And I'm talking about any human being on the planet. I'm not just talking about black when I'm saying that no one's coming to save you. You will save yourself or you will drown. Know that this is a fact. However, the government has to be held accountable for those intentional things that it do or has done that has ill affected any group or individual within this country who is a legal citizen. And to hide things such as this when it comes to vaccines is an atrocious act. And again, we're not talking 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 years ago. We're talking about 22 years at best ago. And this is why the government has to be held accountable. And we have to have good enough understanding that we can't trust everything that comes out of the so-called scientist's mouth. And we must look at things with skepticism. Let's continue.
Until they're after 3 years of age.
And at the time, if they would have admitted this information and brought it out,
Yes.
in 2001 or 2002, how many black boys would have been saved from having an autism diagnosis if they would have admitted it at that time?
You know, that was 23 years ago. So if you look at the history of autism cases over that 23-year time period, it would have prevented about 350,000 autism cases in the US alone for African American males. 350,000.
See, and this is why there is a reason why we don't trust this government. And this is one of those reasons.
And allow me to complete this with RFK Jr. was in his confirmation hearing, and one of the two black senators, female senators, who claimed that RFK was dangerous because he suggested that vaccines may affect African Americans different than they affect white Americans, etc. She called them dangerous and tried to play the race card. This was a terrible example of an individual who could have made some sense, making no sense at all. And this is why these individuals have no standing when it comes to truly fighting for the people. They are in the individual's pockets and will fight against the very thing that is best, or they say they stand for. They do not stand for the improvement of black people in particular. And I'm talking about these two black women right here. I can't remember which one actually was saying it, so I must give one of them a pass, but I don't know which one. I can't find the actual confirmation segment that she went off on RFK as being dangerous because he suggested that black people's body respond differently to certain vaccines. And we see what was before us. Again, we can't trust these individuals just because they have on or are riding in a vehicle that is black. And you should not trust any human being just because the color of their skin. And you shouldn't distrust any human being because or simply on the basis of the color of their skin. So again, we must learn, we must grow. Have a beautiful day. If you like the content, like and subscribe. Peace.